In this piano tutorial, I want to share a simple progression or exercise that I use to practice all 12 of my keys, right? Usually when we start playing piano, we stay stuck on a single key. For example, C major, or I've heard some people prefer playing in F sharp major as well, right? But it's important that we learn how to play in all 12 keys. That way we can basically expand our musical vocabulary, okay? Now, this progression is a very popular gospel progression, but what I like about it is that it uses every number in the system, right? From the number system, for example, it uses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It's not necessarily diatonic chords, right? It's not, for example, if we are in C major, all of the notes are not going to be the white notes within the chords, but these are common chords used within songs, okay? So I'm going to demonstrate this progression, and then I'm going to show you how to basically transpose it, right? Not with the button, but transpose them into other keys as well, to be able to play the same progression but also get good at those other keys as well, okay? So let's start off in the key of C, and it sounds something like this. Right, so the progression that I played, if we think about it through the number system, is 1, 7, 3, 6, 5, 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, and then we used this movement to get back to the 1, where we play 6, 7, and then we're back to the 1, right? But when I'm playing these chords, I'm not necessarily thinking about the actual chord that I'm playing, right? For example, what I mean by this is when I'm playing something like a minor 7, I'm not thinking about the chord A minor with a 7th, right? With a minor 7th. I'm actually thinking C major, which is actually simpler for me, right? I already know C major. It's a simple triad with a bass on A. So that gives me, or with a left hand on A, right? That gives me that A minor 7. So, for example, for this progression, I started off on the 1. I prefer starting on the 1 with a second inversion in the right hand, right? G, C, E. And it's important that you note this down because we're actually going to start that same way in every other key. So we start off second inversion with bass on C. Then for the 7, which is a B, usually the chord that is played, or the diatonic for the 7 would be a B diminished, right? That's the diatonic triad for the 7. Or if it's a 7th chord, it would be a B diminished, a B half diminished, or B minor 7 flat 5. But again, I'm not thinking about minor 7 flat 5. That might be a little bit too complicated for someone who's beginning. All I'm thinking about is D minor, right? That's very simple, a simple triad over the left hand playing a B, right? So D minor over B, okay? So this progression, I started on the 1, then I went to the 7, which is a D minor. In this case, I'm playing as a second inversion D minor over B. And then for the 3, which is the next chord, instead of going to an E major or E minor, I actually just move this bass note from A down a half step, right? So I'm over here on B half diminished, and my A goes down a half step, and my B goes to the 3, which is E, and I get this E7 flat 9, right? It might seem odd, that chord, but all I'm doing is thinking about shapes, not necessarily the name. And it's important that we think about these shapes because that's how our muscle memory starts building up in other keys as well. Okay, so 7, 3. Now the next chord is going to be a 6 chord, but the 6 chord is voiced, or the extensions are minor 7. But if we pay attention, the right hand is actually back into that second inversion of C major. And the only thing that is different in this case is that the left hand is playing an A, and that gives us that A minor 7. Okay, so far we have right. And actually, if we think even deeper, this progression that we just played is a 7-3-6 progression, right? 7-3-6, which we actually use in many other songs. Okay, so the next chord is actually a 5 chord, but we're going to voice it as a G minor 7. Now this G minor 7, all I'm playing is a B flat in second inversion with a bass on G. Okay, now very similarly to what we did before, where we brought down, for example, when we were on B half diminished, we brought down the A a half step, and then we went to the 3. We're actually going to do something similar in this chord, where we're in A minor 7. We're going to bring down the G a half step to, we're on the 5. Sorry about that. We were on the 5. We're going to bring down the F down a half step, and the G is going to go to C. Okay, and that's going to give us our 1. In this case, the 1 is voiced as a C7 or C9, right? So once again, 7, 3, 6, then 5, 1, and the next chord is a 4, but it's voiced as an F major 7. Now again, if we break this chord down, all we have is an A minor in second inversion in the right hand over an F. All right. Now the next chord is going to be a 3, but it's a different 3 that we played before, right? Before we played this 3, E7 flat 9, an altered chord. In this case, we're going to play it as, sorry about that, we're going to play it as an E minor 7. And again, if we break this down, it's simply a G major triad over E. Then we go to the 6, which is an A minor 7. We did this one before. C major over A. Next chord is a 2. Now this chord, again, breaking it down into 2 different steps. F major triad over D. Okay, we get D minor 7. And then to get back into the 1, we play a 6-7-1. But the 6 in this case is not going to be an A minor 7. It's going to be a 4 or F major over A. Then a 5 or G major over B. So 6, 7, and then we're back to the 1, okay? So all together, Alright, so once you have that down in C major, you can start, I prefer moving up chromatically, right? Or you can actually go around the circle of fifths, but for the purposes of this lesson, let's go up chromatically. So let's say we're in C sharp now, and we want to play the same thing. We start off on the 1 chord, which is C sharp, right? And I'm playing the same exact voicing, right? The same inversion, second inversion over the 1. And then for the 7, remember that we play a 2. In this case, a 2 is a simple triad of E flat minor over the 7. And then we simply go to the 3, which is F, and we bring this down a half step, right? So and then we land on the 6, right? B flat minor 7, or the 1 over the 6, right? Then we play the 5 or the flat 7, which in this case is a B over the 5. Then we do the same step that we did before, right? Where we brought down this bottom note a half step and we went from the 5 to the 1. And then we land on the 4, right? And in this case, I'm playing a B flat minor over F sharp, right? Or G flat, right? Whatever you want to call it. Then 3, we play the 5 over 3. Then for the 6, we play a 1 over 6. Then the 2, we play a 4 over 2. Then the 6, 7, 1, okay? So all together. Right, so I challenge you guys to try to do this in all 12 keys and practice that at least once daily, right? So just go up all the keys and struggle at first, right? It might be a struggle at first memorizing each chord within the scale, right? 1, 7, 3, 6, 5, 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 6, 7, 1. But once you get that down, you can start actually playing around with the extensions that you include within the chords, right? So, for example, one of the things that I like doing is including the second or including the ninth within the chord. So if we go back down to C major, for example, we can start including the second into our voicings, right? And that gives us a fuller chord. So something like this or something like this, right? Makes it a minor 9. So this way you can actually start experimenting with the type of chords that you play within this exercise. But what I want to do now is play in all 12 keys the same exercise. That way you have a reference to see if you're doing it correctly. And also I'll include a MIDI file in the description. That way you can download it and practice on your own time as well, okay?